Hello and welcome to this segment of Loving Life. I'm Charlie Silva, board certified hypnotist and certified professional life coach. I've helped many people take back control of their life and achieve their goals by asking the following question. Loving life, are you loving yours? If so, wonderful. If not, why not? If there's something that's stopping you from loving your life, what is it? And let's find ways to overcome it. If you missed any previous segments of Loving Life, you can watch them online at the MTN18 website, mtn18.com. Now, a friend recently mentioned a very interesting video she viewed online dealing with families and happiness. The information was presented by Bruce Feiler, the writer-presenter of the miniseries Walking the Bible and author of several books, including The Council of Dads and The Secrets of Happy Families. The entire video can be viewed at www.ted.com. Now, Bruce begins his presentation noting some news about families. According to Bruce, the good news is that the last 50 years have seen a revolution in what it means to be a family. We have blended families, adopted families, nuclear families, living in separate houses, and divorced families living in the same house. But through it all, according to research and surveys, the family has actually grown stronger. 8 in 10 people say the family they have today is as strong or stronger than the family they grew up in. Now here's the not as good news. Nearly everyone is completely overwhelmed by the chaos of family life. Every parent he knows, himself included, feels like they're constantly playing defense. Just when the kids stop teething, they start having tantrums. Just when they stop needing help taking a bath, they need help dealing with cyberstalking or bullying. And here's the most challenging news of all. The children sense their parents are out of control. Now, Ellen Galinsky of the Families and Work Institute asked 1,000 children, if you were granted one wish about your parents, what would it be? Their parents were asked what they, the parents, believed their kids' answer would be. They predicted the kids would say, spending more time with them. Well, those parents were wrong. The kids' number one wish? That their parents be less tired and less stressed. So here are the main questions Bruce is asking. How can we change this dynamic? And are there concrete things we can do to reduce stress, draw our family closer, and generally prepare our children to enter the world? He spent the last few years trying to answer those and other questions, traveling extensively, meeting families, talking to scholars and experts ranging from elite peace negotiators to Warren Buffett's bankers to the Green Berets. He was trying to figure out, what do happy families do right, and what can he learn from them to make his family happier? He shares the story about one family, the Stars, that he met and why he thinks they offer clues regarding how to be a happier family. The Stars are a regular American family with their share of regular American family challenges. David is a software engineer. Eleanor takes care of their 4 children, ages 10 to 15. One of those kids tutors math on the far side of town. One has lacrosse on the near side of town. One has Asperger's syndrome. One has ADHD. As described by Eleanor, they were living in complete chaos. At 7 p.m. on a Sunday in Hidden Springs, Idaho, Bruce met with the 6 members of the Star family as they sat down to the highlight of their week, the family meeting. What the Stars did at this meeting, though, was surprising to Bruce. At this family meeting, they looked to David's workplace and adopted a cutting-edge program called Agile Development that was just spreading from manufacturers in Japan to startups in Silicon Valley. In the Agile program, workers are organized into small groups and do things in very short spans of time. So instead of having executives issue grand proclamations, the team, in effect, manages itself. You have constant feedback. You have daily update sessions. You have weekly reviews. You're constantly changing. David Starr said when they brought this system into their home, the family meetings in particular increased communication, decreased stress, and made everybody happier to be part of the family team. Bruce goes on to explain that when he and his wife adopted family meetings and similar techniques into the lives of their then 5-year-old twin daughters, it was the biggest single change they made since their daughters were born. And their meetings experienced the same wonderful effect: increased communication, decreased stress, and they made everybody happier to be part of the family team, all while taking just 20 minutes. So what is Agile, and why can it help with families? Something that seems so different from software engineering. Well, in 1983, Jeff Sutherland, a technologist at a financial firm in New England, was very frustrated with how software got designed. Companies followed what is known as the waterfall method, a process in which executives issued orders that slowly trickled down to programmers below, and where no one ever consulted the actual programmers for their input. 83% of projects failed. They were too bloated or too out of date by the time they were done. Now, Sutherland wanted to create a system where ideas didn't just trickle down, but could come up from the bottom and be adjusted in real time. He read 30 years of Harvard Business Review before stumbling upon an article in 1986 called The New Product Development Game. It said that the pace of business was quickening and the most successful companies were flexible. It highlighted Toyota and Canon, focusing on their adaptable, tight-knit teams. As Sutherland told Bruce when he read that article, he immediately thought, that's it. So Sutherland began making changes and modifications to the system until he found the perfect formula. In Sutherland's system, companies don't use large, massive projects that take 2 years. They do things in small chunks. Nothing takes longer than 2 weeks. So instead of saying to a team, you go off into that room and come back with a cell phone or a social network, you say, you go off and come up with one element, then bring it back. Let's talk about it. Let's adapt. With this system, you succeed or fail quickly. And today, Agile is used in 100 countries, and it's sweeping into management suites. Inevitably, people began taking some of these techniques and applying it to their families. So Bruce decided to take a look at one problem that typical families face, crazy mornings, and talk about how Agile can help. Now, a key component of the system is accountability. So teams use information centers, basically just large noteboards in which everybody is accountable for something. In adapting this to their home, the Stars, one of the families Bruce visited during his research, created a morning checklist in which each child is expected to check off chores. On the morning Bruce visited, Eleanor, the mom, came downstairs, poured herself a cup of coffee, and sat in a reclining chair. She sat there talking to each of her children as one after the other came downstairs, checked the list, made themselves breakfast, checked the list again, put the dishes in the dishwasher, rechecked the list, fed the pets or whatever chores they had, checked the list one more time, gathered their belongings, and made their way to the school bus. It was one of the most astonishing family dynamics Bruce had ever seen. And when Bruce strenuously objected this would never work in his house because his kids needed way too much monitoring, Eleanor replied, that's what she initially thought. After David convinced her to just try the system, she soon realized she was wrong. When she saw the results and asked why it works, David replied that you can't underestimate the power of doing this, and he made a check mark. He said in the workplace, adults love it, and with kids, it's heaven. The week Bruce introduced the morning checklist into his house, he notes it cut parental screaming in half. But the real change didn't come until they had the family meetings. In following the Agile model, at the meetings they asked 3 questions. What worked well in the family this week? What didn't work well? And what will the family agree to work on in the week ahead? Everyone provides suggestions, and then they pick 2 suggestions to focus on. And when they began using the model, suddenly the most amazing things started coming out of their daughters' mouths. For example, what worked well this week? Well, getting over their fear of riding bikes and making their beds. What didn't work well? Doing their math homework. Bruce says that this gave him and his wife access to their kids' innermost thoughts. But the most surprising part was when the family turned to the question, what are we going to work on in the week ahead? As he notes, the key idea of Agile is that teams essentially manage themselves. It works in software, and it turns out that it works with kids. His kids love this process and come up with great ideas. He said that it felt like he and his wife were kind of laying the groundwork that would light up the kids' world for many years to come. In other words, from a hypnosis perspective, they were actually programming their kids' subconscious in a positive way that would be of great benefit in the future. And 3 years later, with the kids almost 8 years old now, they're still holding these meetings. So what did Bruce and his family learn from using Agile at home? We'll take a look at the wonderful lessons they learned during our next segment of Loving Life. Be sure to check my website for upcoming Take Back Control of Your Life workshops. The workshops are free of charge. If you have goals you'd like to achieve but have been unable to do so, attending one of my workshops may be all you need to take back control of your life. Well, I'm sure I've given you some things, positive things, to think about. Send any questions or comments you have to me at charlie@mtn18.com, and I'll answer them in future segments of Loving Life. I'm Charlie Silva, and I'm asking you, loving life, are you loving yours? If so, wonderful. If not, why not? If there's something that's stopping you from loving your life, what is it? And let's find ways to overcome it. Always remember that you are awesome. Have a wonderful day filled with love and gratitude.